Hey guys, it's been a while since you've seen the two of us. I think the last time the two of us sat down together to record something was when we were doing Nutrisystem.
Yeah, it's been.
And what did we call that? The reflection section.
The reflection.
So this is kind of like that. So this is our birth story 5 weeks later. My goodness, I can't even believe that we had a baby 5 weeks ago. So we'll just jump right into it. I was feeling really good, really the entire last month of pregnancy. I went to 40 weeks and of course nothing happened, and my 40-week appointment was the day after. So on Tuesday, December 23rd, I think, was our 40-week appointment.
Yep.
And at that time I was still 3 to 4 centimeters dilated and I guess still 80% effaced, so nothing really happened. And our doctor had us schedule an induction date for the following Tuesday, which would have been 41 weeks and 1 day. And as much as I didn't want to do that, I didn't want to go to 42 weeks because then we may have had to have a C-section, and I really didn't want to do that. So of the two, between being induced and having a C-section, I was like, okay, we'll be induced rather than have a C-section because I didn't want surgery.
I didn't want it because of the money.
Of course, whatever. Basically that was, okay, Tuesday the 23rd. 2 days later was Christmas, and everybody's like, oh, she's going to be here on Christmas and blah, blah, blah. I still felt great Christmas Eve. Still felt pretty normal. I was pretty normal, right? Nothing really happened. And then I woke up Christmas Day, and I thought that when I woke up, I was just having the regular Braxton Hicks, because I had been having Braxton Hicks contractions for, I don't know, at least 2 months.
Yeah,
I think.
2 months at least.
2 months.
Because the first one you were kind of like, what the hell was that?
Yeah, I wasn't really
Flipping
sure.
through the book, what to expect, what expecting. Okay, perfectly normal.
Right, I just wanted to make sure.
And lots and lots of Google searches.
So many, even though at our first appointment, our doctors was like, don't Google anything. Of course we're going to Google everything. So, okay.
And then some. And then you get kind of on a path of like, oh God, how did I end up here on the internet?
Alright, we won't go there.
Yeah.
So, later that day, Christmas Day, first of all, it didn't even feel like Christmas because the entire day I was like, we're going to have this baby, we're going to have this baby. TJ's grandmother was having Christmas dinner at their house, and they were having it at about, what, like 6 o'clock? Or it was like
2.
5 or 6. No, we didn't go
That's right,
over
it was
at
a
2.
later one this time.
It was around 6 o'clock. So before then, I was just having, you know, what I thought, again, were Braxton Hicks contractions. So we went over to his grandma's, had dinner. I ate dinner. And then at about, it was about 7:30, I started getting the feeling like menstrual cramps. And I was like, aha. I was like, people told me that contractions start to feel like menstrual cramps. So I'm like, okay, they weren't really enough to be timed or whatever until I started to feel them like a lot. And I was like, okay, let me just start.
They were still sporadic too. Like there was no like set time.
Right.
It really wasn't until the hospital that.
No. I did start timing them though at about almost 8 o'clock.
Yeah, that's right, because you were writing them down.
I was writing them down,
and
and they were anywhere from 4 to 5 minutes apart. And they told me if my contractions were 5 minutes apart and they lasted about a minute, to give them a call the nurse's line. And so...
Sorry guys, I keep yawning.
Are you tired?
I've yawned like 3 times in a row.
We're both so tired.
4 times so far.
But yeah, I called the nurse's line, and the nurse line basically told us, okay, if they start to get more intense or closer together, give us a call back. Well, that never happened. But as soon as I got off the phone with the nurse's line, and if you don't want to hear this, or if you never had kids before, plug your ears. It's not that gross. But I had to pee, so I went to go pee, and this was the first time that I saw, like, pink in the mucus.
It was a bright pink, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I was like, oh dear, that also means that things are moving along, especially since I was past my due date. I was like, you know, there's more of a chance that this baby could be here, you know, sooner than later. So all that being said, we probably went home around 9 or 10 o'clock that night, and I was still menstrual crampy. It wasn't terrible. I was like, whatever, this is great. So next day, December 26th, that was a Friday, I woke up and...
Or woke up. She didn't really sleep too much that night.
Yeah, not really. My contractions were a little bit more intense, but they weren't unbearable. So I could tell that, you know, things were happening or whatever. But I put myself on bed rest the entire day because I did start to feel more uncomfortable as the day went on.
Rewind a little bit. You didn't put yourself on bed rest. We insisted upon it. You still tried getting out of bed to go downstairs.
Okay, well, I was still in bed like the whole day. And basically after noon, so in the second half of the day, the contractions started to really get more painful. But my whole worry was, I don't want to call the nurses line, go into the hospital, and be sent home because I wasn't far along enough. You know, that would have just pissed me off. I was like, I'm not going to be sent home.
Wasted trip.
Right.
And it's 40 minutes.
Right. Round trip.
Yeah, round trip.
So I called the nurses line at about 3 or 4 in the afternoon because the contractions did start to get a little bit more intense.
And I
more
insisted.
Intense. Right, he always insisted. I mean, you guys know him. So,
I'm very insistible.
Right. So the nurse called me back and was like, okay, when they get more intense, call us back again. Because, you know, they weren't any minutes apart. They, you know, lasted, you know, anywhere between a minute, maybe like a couple minutes. It varied so much. I was like, I can't really be sure of what's happening. Especially since this is my first kid. I don't know what to expect, right? So...
Still don't.
We really still don't. So at about 8 o'clock, I took a shower and I had a good poop. Because, listen, my biggest fear was pooping while pushing this baby out. And I was like, let me just empty my system now. I ate dinner at 5. And I took a shower at 8 because I wanted to shower before I went to the hospital. Because something in the back of my mind was like, this might happen
Forget
tonight.
stillbirth. Forget all the other crazy things that could happen during a pregnancy. Pooping was #1 priority in her mind.
Listen, I don't like to do that. So at about 8:30, 9 o'clock, as when I got back into bed, I started having really bad contractions. And this contraction, it felt like one continuous long contraction that just did not stop. And I let out the biggest, like, in pain moan and groan. TJ was downstairs and he came up, he heard it, and he was like, call the nurse line.
Yep, I was pouring milk into my cereal. I heard her do that, and I was like, I ran upstairs. And if you know me, I don't run.
And I was like, I still wasn't sure. I was like, I don't know if I want to, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, just do it. And I did. And the nurse was like, yeah, come on in and we'll let them know that you're on your way. And so we left the house at about 10 o'clock because we were just, you know, getting things together. And TJ was eating. I mean, I interrupted his food.
I finished, by the way.
Eating. And so we left the house at 10. We got to the hospital at 10:30. They did already have us in the system. And I went to the little triage area so that they could check me out. And they checked me, and I was 5 to 6 centimeters dilated. And they were like, yep, you are staying because you are going to be having this baby soon. I was like, score, I don't have to go home. Because again, that would have just made me mad. And trying to walk, oh my gosh, it was terrible. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. It was really painful.
Well, you were in a wheelchair.
Yeah,
After we checked in, we got her a wheelchair.
Well, they said, do you want to walk to your room or do you want to be wheeled? And I'm glad I said be wheeled because our room was like all the way down the hall.
It was like almost the furthest you could possibly get.
Yeah, I was like, thank goodness I asked them to wheel me down there.
I got my exercise.
But,
no, about the wheelchairs real quick because this is kind of funny. I went to get a wheelchair for her, and she was like, no, not that one. Because it was like the big person one, you know?
I'm not that
And I was like, well, which one do you want me to get? And she pointed at another one. It was the same exact damn one.
I don't think.
Yes, it was, because that's all they had. That's all that was left, were the big person ones. And then the nurse comes up to get her to take her upstairs.
You're making everybody seasick. Stop rocking.
I'm not making everybody seasick. You're staying still, so it gives them a point to, you know. Anyways, the nurse was like, yeah, just sit in this one. It doesn't matter. You know, just get in. Let's go. So she argued for like 30 seconds about which wheelchair she really wanted.
This was going into triage.
Yeah, this was going into the triage
Not
to get
after.
checked to see.
Yeah.
Afterwards, we used the same wheelchair because it was there.
Or whatever, yeah.
And I went down to the room.
So, we got into the room at about 11:30. It was about an hour because they were monitoring. Oh, when they put the IV in. So they said, are you left-handed or right-handed? And I said I was left-handed. So they wanted to put it in the right arm. IV.
Yes.
So they stuck me like right here. And it didn't quite work. It hurt so bad. And so they ended up just putting it in my left wrist right up here. And there are two spots where you see where the IVs were. That was, and somehow they lost the tape. I don't think they ever found that tape.
They never found
when
the tape.
When they were taping it down, I thought, because I was laying down, I thought they had put it like on top of my stomach, because I thought, no, they lost the tape putting the IV on. I don't know, that's just some random thing.
Yeah, because even before we left the room, like it was all bothering all of us in the room. There was
they
four
looked
of us.
Under the bed,
under
on
the
top,
mattress when it
everywhere,
stood up.
under the
They
sheets.
stripped the sheets, and it was just like it was gone. She checked her pockets. She checked the little counter. She checked outside the room.
No idea where.
She was like, "There's no way the tape disappeared." I even checked my pockets, and I wasn't even anywhere near the bed to take the damn thing. And I was just like, "This is the weirdest thing of all." But then I was like, "It can't be in her because they haven't cut her open yet." So this doesn't make any sense. Because you know how they lose tools and stuff in there.
Right. Okay.
So if you go in, keep track of the tape.
Keep track of the tape. Always important.
That was very interesting.
So we got into our room at about 11:30, and they kept asking me, "Do you want the epidural?" I kept saying no.
I kept saying yes.
I kept saying no. He kept saying yes, and then the no turned into I don't know. And about an hour and a half later, I was like, you know what? Let me just get it, because this entire time I was like, I don't know. It really depends on how I feel.
Let's take a quick step back here about getting into the room and stuff like that, because you said that we were wheeled down to the room, but you didn't say how they got you in the bed.
I got into the bed.
Okay. But you had problems getting into the bed because you couldn't stand up out of the wheelchair.
I could stand up.
Yeah, it had to be pulled up.
I don't really think that your memory of this is the same as mine.
Okay.
And it would have been this way even if we recorded it 4 weeks ago.
I remember a lot more details than she does. She just thinks she's right. And plus, I am really freaking tired right now.
Well, anyway. I'm sure there was a struggle for me getting into the bed because the contractions at that point were really intense. So about an hour to an hour and a half later, after 11:30, so maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, I was like, yeah, so let's just do the epidural, because I didn't know how long it would take for me to be fully dilated. I knew I was having a big baby. She was really low. I started to get back pain in my left side because she had been sitting on my left side the entire time. The entire pregnancy, she favored the left side.
We actually found out why, but we'll get to that in a second.
Why?
Like I said, we'll get to it in a second.
Okay. So, in comes the anesthesiologist. My nurse was great, and also...
Yeah, she was really awesome.
Our doctor was great. We actually got the doctor that we wanted. The doctor that we wanted to deliver our baby was the doctor that was on call that day.
Yeah, to kind of catch you guys up, there were, I think, 3 or 4 male doctors at the OBGYN that we went to. And all of them were great. Don't get me wrong. Every last one of them. But...
we just felt like this one had the best bedside manner. He was very, pro-patient. Like, he would ask us questions, or just ask him questions.
Even when we didn't have any questions, he would start just saying stuff.
He would just start talking about things. Want to know.
And also, I'm just going to be honest here, he was probably the best looking one. Not probably, he was. He was a damn good looking guy.
Yeah, I'm glad we got the doctor that we did. It made the whole experience a lot better, I think.
Our doctor comes into play big time here in just a second.
Yeah. So
this was fortunate, very fortunate.
For the epidural, the anesthesiologist came in. I've never had any sort of anything like this before. I've never even been hospitalized before.
The most she's ever had was drawing blood. And
yeah.
It was... That is like pulling teeth.
At this
which
point,
she's never had either.
At this point, the
wisdom teeth,
the contractions were really bad. I could not sit up on my own. I could not get up. It was very, very difficult. And of course, you have to sit up and then hunch over so that they can get your spine and poke you in.
Do all know.
Well, now you know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how many of you watching have had an epidural. If you have not, you have to sit up. You have to bend over. You have to give them... Gosh, I felt so weird being exposed. I did not like that at all.
They want you to be kind of like a baby that can't hold up its head, just like
yeah,
this.
Hunched over. So anyway, my nurse was, basically my entire front was like on her, and I was grabbing her arm. My doctor came in, and he was holding my other hand. They basically told TJ to just sit in a chair and do nothing. Like, TJ could not do anything, and I felt so bad for him because as much as he wants to, fix things and protect us and whatever,
and be involved,
he was basically helpless, and I felt so bad.
The thing is I am actually very intrusive into what everyone is doing. It's not that I interfere with what they're doing. It's just I like it to be explained to me step by step. I'm the same way even when I go to the hospital or I go to the dentist or anything like that. It's because I want to know what's going on with my body so that way I know what to expect. And so when the anesthesiologist came in, I was standing behind him to watch the epidural go in. That stuff really doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
And so he told me that I couldn't watch what he was doing, and he told me to go sit on the other side. I was like, well, I want to watch what's going on. And he pretty much stopped what he was doing in preparation and told me, no, you have to sit on that side.
He was basically being an asshole.
He was pretty much a straight up asshole. Now, I'm not saying that that's how his personality always is. I mean, I understand that it was 1 o'clock in the morning-ish, and he's probably tired. He's probably done this 20,000 times in his lifetime. He knows what he's doing. But still, don't come at me like an asshole. You're going to get an asshole back.
Yeah.
And so he started to do the needle as I started to walk around. I sat down. That's when our doctor came in.
Yeah.
And luckily he came in because I couldn't go up to console her. So
yeah.
he went up and held her hand.
Yeah.
While she had her head buried in our nurse's chest.
Yeah. I just could not. I was grabbing onto her arm. My head was like in her chest, and this hand was holding our doctor's hand. So I was just like this with two people, and poor TJ was just sitting in a chair behind them, and he couldn't do anything.
So I'll explain the next part on the whole epidural part, only because I could see what was going on around her. She flinched when he first went in. And when he first went in, she had a contraction right at that second. I mean, the freaking monitor is telling us what's going on. And so he yells at her. Not just, asks her. He yells at her, stop moving or this isn't going to work. And even my doctor looked at him and he's like, she's in the middle of a contraction. You have to wait until it's over to start. And he said something along the lines of, we need to get this in now or it won't be effective. And my doctor just kind of cut him a look like, okay. Because, my doctor's probably delivered as many babies as he has done epidurals, because it probably goes hand in hand here. No, pun intended with catching the baby. But anyways, so I see him do the motion to go in that first time where she flinches. But then, I think he honestly missed where he was trying to aim for. Because the way she flinched along with the contraction, it felt to me like he hit possibly right into your bone.
It felt really weird, too. It didn't... like I said, I've never had an epidural. I don't know what it's supposed to feel like. A needle's going into your spine. So, of course, there's going to be a little bit of, like...
a pinch and stuff like that, but... what
nerves being hit, because...
What you had explained to me, though, was afterwards you said it felt like something scraped up against you. And in my experience, I had an operation on my foot where I had a Novocaine injection into my toe, and it was to numb the whole thing. And when the needle went in, the doctor went a little too far, and the needle scraped the bone. And even to this day, I have phantom pains in that toe because now I know exactly where the bone is in the toe. and that pain just never really goes away. So then after that first jab, the same thing that you described is how I have my foot, but after that first jab, he pulls out, resets, gets a new needle, and then goes in again. And that's when he finally got it in. So he took 2 tries. And the reason why I do know it was 2 tries based on my observation, and it was also because she had 2 prick holes in her back.
Yeah.
And so that just completely
It was 2 tries, because I remember feeling that too.
Yeah. So he messed up. I had to choose my words very carefully there, not to make this PG-13.
Right.
So he then blames it on her for a contraction when he just simply missed. It's not her fault.
So, but afterwards, I started to get warm and tingly. I also had the shakes because I guess that's what happens too when you get the epidural. I had the shakes really bad, maybe for like an hour, and after that, they subsided. My left side got a lot more numb than my right side, because I could still move my right leg a little bit, but I could not move my left leg at all. So anyway, they, of course, came to check on me every...
Tells me he didn't get it center, but whatever.
So they came to check on me, I think every hour, check my dilation and everything. And about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, I was 9.5 centimeters dilated. I was like, whoa, that was quick.
That escalated quickly.
Yes, it did. And the only thing is, at this point now, they wanted to align the opening of my cervix with our daughter's head to make sure that everything, came out smoothly the way it's supposed to, I guess.
Remember that second I said the way to bed ago? This is where that second came in with why she favored the left. When her head was there, imagine like this is the opening above my head. Her head was like this, and so her whole body was pushing to Kat's left.
Ah.
So that's why they had you lay on the left and kind of back,
yeah.
So that way her head would come back.
Well, they had
center.
me lay on my right, and then things moved too far, so then they had me lay on my left again. And when I laid on my left, it hurt in my back.
Like right under your rib.
It was, yeah, and it was right where the line of the epidural was working, or hit and didn't hit. So I was like, well, damn, if that was just a little bit higher, I would not be in pain.
There are days where I wish they would just put an epidural right at the base of my head.
Okay, so anyway, at this point, they kept checking, and, kept flipping, time went by, ice chips, yada yada. They emptied my bladder, I think 3 times with the catheter, and of course I couldn't feel anything because of the epidural. So, fast forward to 10 a.m. TJ stayed the night there because he was the only one that I wanted in the room during delivery.
And that
he
couch
was
sucked.
Sleeping on the hospital couch, which sucked, but you did bring your own pillow, right?
Nope.
No,
They had
not
to
that
get me
time.
one.
They had to get him one.
I might as well have just used a sheet because it was really flat.
Yeah.
If you ever go to the hospital, bring pillows.
Yeah, we totally forgot it. We had it, and
We had them, but we forgot on the way out the door.
Of course.
Because you honestly thought we might be coming back, too.
Yeah. You never know. So always bring the pillow no matter
She
what.
was mad at me that we were going in the first place. She was like, I don't feel like I'm ready.
Okay, so fast forward to 10 a.m. They checked me, and they're like, you ready to push? I'm like, oh, we're ready? And so they wake up TJ, and basically the nurse and TJ was helping me push for maybe the first 45 minutes or so,
Yeah.
right? Maybe a little bit less, but that's, to get her head going, start to crown, whatever. They had me push, during the contractions because they were looking at the monitor. It was basically they told me, so my legs were in stirrups, and the nurse had my right leg and TJ had my left leg, and basically they said, grab your thighs, pull yourself forward like you're doing a crunch, push your bottom down, and act like you're taking a poop. Okay. And I still, even though I was numb from the epidural.
I take a poop, so I don't know what they mean by act like they take a poop.
Well, no, like push like you're.
I know.
Whatever. And so, I did feel pressure. I was able to feel myself pushing, so I wasn't numb to the point I couldn't feel anything. I just couldn't feel pain or whatever was going on down there. So that was hard. She had me pushing 3 pushes in each set. She'd count to 10, and then I'd let out the breath, breathe in again, and then push. And it's hard. It is hard to push. But I was like, I am determined to push this baby out vaginally. I don't want to have a C-section. I don't want the vacuum. I don't want the forceps. I don't want any of that. I want her to just come out like she's supposed to. And I guess, when did the doctor come in? Because this was at 10.
He came in about 20 minutes before she was born.
So at about 11 o'clock.
Yep.
11 o'clock in the morning, he came in. Also, again, very nice, very, like, his voice was very soft. It was encouraging. It was, like, all the nurses and everybody was just so encouraging. And they weren't yelling at me or anything. TJ was watching the whole thing. TJ saw everything. TJ would let me know the progress that I made with each push. He was so, like, he would just rub my head like this too, you know, after a hard push and everything like that. And I got to feel her head. They were like, do you want to feel her head? They didn't even ask me about the mirror. And honestly, even if I had said yes, when I was pushing, I was so focused on, like, the clock in front of me, or I closed my eyes or something, I wouldn't have been able to look anyway. I was just not in that mode. But I got to feel her head twice, and oh my gosh, that girl had a lot of hair. Like, it was crazy.
The hair was hanging out before her head was out.
It was crazy. So, finally, at about 11:20, I guess the last couple pushes, they were like, you're almost there. Like, they kept saying one more push or one more set of pushes and she'll be out. And
well, I'm going to jump in there real quick too, because it was about that point that, I mean, there was only 3 of us in the room, or no, 4 of us, because it was the lady that was helping you time the pushes, our doctor. Our original nurse, and no, it wasn't our original nurse. It was the one that took over for the day shift.
No, she was still there. Jody was her name.
Jody,
the one
okay.
who was actually pregnant too. And due in a couple weeks, but anyway.
Okay, so yeah, it was only 3 of us then. Okay, so
and maybe one more to help clean up or assist the doctor.
But they came in later.
Okay.
But anyways, it was about 10 minutes in that the OR staff came in, and our doctor had said, you know, go ahead and prep the vacuum, get it ready, and so forth. And they couldn't find the attachment for the thing, which was kind of unnecessary in the long run. But here I am just like freaking out. I'm like, I don't want that to happen. There's no way I want my kid pulled out with a freaking vacuum. The only time a vacuum's going to be used is when she pushes it around the house or whatever. And I certainly didn't want her to go into, surgery.
Right. For C-section.
Not only for the money part of it, but, because
it's surgery.
It leaves a permanent mark on you, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know.
We wanted to avoid it if at all possible.
So anyways, the OR staff was kind of pushing our doctor to go to OR, but he said, no, I think we can still do this. I think everything is still good. Vitals were perfect across the board.
Yeah.
The baby was making progress every time.
There was no stress.
And so he said that there's absolutely no need to really rush this at all, even though it was so close.
And that's why I liked this doctor, because he wasn't pushing anything on us that wasn't absolutely necessary. It was whatever really we wanted.
Yep, very truthful and everything else. And the only thing he did say is that when I stopped seeing progress, for your protection, the baby's protection, and mine, we are going to go to the C-section.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's absolutely fine. But right now we're making progress. Everything's cool, right? And he was like, absolutely.
Yeah.
So during the pushing, I had Kat's leg up over this arm here. I had my other hand back behind her.
Yeah, because I needed help.
Because she had been pushing for so long at this point, she really wasn't able to really do it.
I was so tired.
So I was basically arm wrestling her up while also pulling this way with her leg to help her. And then as soon as he said get the vacuum ready, and they couldn't find the parts because they were, I don't know what happened. She let out a big groan, and I was like, you just one more like that, just here we go. Yeah. So I was like, I'm going to grab your leg. I'm going to go this way. I looked at the nurse on the other side, just said, mimic what I am doing. And she was like, okay.
Yeah.
And so one last time I said, just yell out the loudest you can.
And
push
I did.
as hard as you can. And she did that, and the head just popped right out.
And here's when her head came out and the doctor was, you know, helping to pull her out as I was pushing her out, I felt every single part of her body. Like, I felt her head, her shoulders, her body, and her legs just come out. I don't know how to explain it. It was just, I don't know, like, I can just imagine it in the back of my mind again. I just felt this entire body coming out. Like, it was craziness. And we wanted...
The cool thing was, though, you know, going back to her coming out, is from what I've heard from our neighbors and some other people and on the internet, of course, there's usually a couple more pushes involved to get, you know, the shoulders and out. But, man, once that head came out, I mean, she gave, like, during that last push, it was just like...
It was a long-ass push, too, just to get her out.
So the baby comes out, and I just let go of Kat, and she just kind of flops back. And because I'm trying to follow to make sure everything's going okay with the baby. And so they take her, and I'm watching from the other side. And I was like, oh, crap, I still have to attend the Kat. So I stayed there. And
well, here's the thing. We wanted to wait until the umbilical cord, you know, stopped pulsating so much. And apparently, what did the doctor tell you?
From what I had seen and what he had said, the umbilical cord at that point wasn't pulsating at all. So the whatever benefit was good for that, it was no longer there.
Or she had already taken it in or something.
Yeah, everything was done.
When you cut the umbilical cord, didn't you say that not a lot of stuff...
Oh, absolutely. Nothing came out of that thing. There was nothing in it. And so... Can I get just through the graphic part real quick? And then okay. So the baby is laying on her for a second. She started freaking bawling.
I cried so hard.
And she kept, like, petting her hair.
Hormones, emotions.
The baby didn't cry. She didn't cry.
She did cry.
Not until, just for that brief second until she hit your chest.
Okay.
Once she hit your chest and they had that cover on her for that second, she was perfectly fine. Her eyes were still, I mean, of course, closed. But, you know, she was kind of, like, wiggling around a little bit. She was a little fussy, but she wasn't like you see in movies where they're crying, you know, all over the place and they smack the buttocks or whatever. But after that, the doctor was like, are you ready to cut the cord? I was like, hell yeah. So he gives me the scissors, and he had, you know, pinched off both ends of it. And I cut it, and damn thing, one perfect cut straight across.
But you said you made two.
No, one.
No, because you were saying how the doctor...
Yeah. That's right. This is where it gets a little foggy.
The doctor was impressed.
Yeah, the doctor was impressed because I did one snip, and then I did another one, and you couldn't tell where I had left off from the first one. He goes, normally when I see that, he's like, one is like nervously like this way, and then there's another one this way. He's like, the longest he has seen was his one guy did like these little snips, like all the way across. Like the umbilical cord is probably no thicker than my finger. And he said it took the guy 30 seconds to get through the thing before he said, you know what, I'm done. He just cut it and said, let's go. Because, I mean, you got to attend to the baby. And so after that, Kat had held her for a little bit. But while she was holding her and the umbilical cord was cut, he, like, pulled on the umbilical cord out of her. And just, anyone ever see that scene from The Shining where the blood is coming down the hallway? Yeah, now I understand where they shot that. It was inside of a pregnant woman's vagina after she gave birth. There was just all kinds of crap coming out of there.
And I didn't see any of it. I was just so...
I mean, it was, like, unreal. They put, like, this horse, like, feeder trough right underneath the bed. And the doctor's got this, like, full gear on, of course. And I looked at the doctor. I was like, when does it end? He goes, when it stops? And I was like, oh, God. So he finally gets the placenta out, and he's got it in a pail. He goes, you want this? He's like holding it up like this close to me. He's like, you want this? And I was like, I'll check it out for a second. He's holding it, and I was like, that's kind of interesting and cool. He goes, did you guys want to keep this or not? I was like, what the hell would I want to keep that for? I mean, it's like kind of like clipping my toenails. Why would I want to keep it?
Well, some people keep it.
And I know, he explained to me, he goes, some people like to keep it, and they like to like save it in like some kind of booklet or something. He said some people like to eat it or something. I mean, I'm not judging you.
Turn it into capsules, things like that. Like, but we did not want to do that.
Didn't understand that. But, you know, thinking back on it, though, as a kid, I had pets and stuff, and our cat would have kittens, and they would eat the placenta. I mean, they would eat all of it. But anyways, that being said, the doctor was, doing his thing down there. He was suturing up the episiotomy.
All while you were with her on the warming table while they were cleaning her.
No, he had started the
stitching.
The stitching. That's when I was like, okay, I'm done with this part of it, because I don't want to remember that in that sense.
Right.
So I went over to the table and they were weighing her. I was like, well, how much does she weigh? And they put her on the scale. I was like, holy crap, that's really freaking heavy. She goes, oh, I haven't converted it to pounds yet. I was like, okay, thank God. I was like, that would be some kind of record. So they flipped the switch, and I saw 9 pounds, 9 ounces. And then she was like, oh, wait a second. Her foot was kind of off the edge. She got the foot back on. 9 pounds, 11 inches.
Ounces.
And 21 and 3/4 inches. Yeah. So they, it was kind of cool how they measured her. I mean, they just took her head and like held it back like this, and they just took her foot and was like, here you go, pulled it straight out, and then they marked it on the paper that was on the table, and they just measured it, and yeah, there was definitely an experience there, and she really wasn't that dirty either. Like, there wasn't a lot of gunk on her. Even
when she was just laying on my stomach, it wasn't. I remember seeing a little bit. I was crying my eyes out, so I couldn't see that much. But
she had a white film on her back. But that was pretty much it. Her hair had a little bit of like a bloody residue on it until the first bath, of course.
Right, that they gave her.
But other than that, she was like freaking clean. And I told Kat, I was like, well, I made the joke right in the room actually. I said that what had happened was she was such a big baby coming out of such a small area, it acted like a squeegee and just kind of pulled it all off of her clean.
Probably. Oh, and
the doctor just shook his head.
That's another thing. They did have to break my water when...
Well, your water broke, but it didn't break all the way because there was the way she was sitting.
Is that what they said?
Yes, because he had to go in to the side and get it because it was kind of there, but they just wanted to get it over.
Okay, but they did say that all the fluid was clear. There was no meconium in there at all. Everything was perfect. So after, it felt like forever that between when she came out and when I was able to hold her. I think it was a good, at least like 30, 40 minutes.
Nope.
No?
It was not 30 or 40 minutes.
Felt like that. How long was it?
All they did was they weighed her, they measured her, they took her temperature, they listened to her heartbeat, and they put the band on her and wiped her off. Mm-hmm. And it took probably 15 minutes tops.
Yeah.
I'd be really surprised if it was more.
All the while they were cleaning me up, and I changed my gown and all of that stuff. Or no, I changed my gown the first time I got up.
Yeah, you were not up out of that bed that quick.
No.
They did, when they handed you the baby, they did another catheter on you.
Did they?
Yeah. You said you had to pee. You said you felt like you had to pee.
Oh, I don't know. Whatever.
So after all of that, I held the baby. I think I was the one that handed her to you.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what to do, so I was just, when the lady handed her to me, I just kind of was like, and she was like, no, just go like this, and so I went like this, she put it right in, and
her?
Yeah, her. So anyways, as soon as she was in my arms, I was gonna go over towards Kat, but then I was like, I don't want to let her go at this point.
Yeah.
So I held her for probably, might be why you thought it took a little longer, because I held her for about 5 to 7 minutes, and then I handed her to Kat, and then I went back over to the couch, and I just sat down for a second contemplating life because I was exhausted.
Yeah, at this point.
As well. But the one thing I was really, really, really happy for is after it was all said and done, the nurses asked how I was actually doing. And I thought that was a nice little touch, because a lot of times people are like, of course she went through a lot. But the guy also had to see all that happen.
If he chooses to.
Yeah, if he chooses to.
Some guys are just like, nope, no way.
They said that I was probably one of the most chill that they've seen in a very long time. Because the blood didn't get to me, the smells didn't. Well, no, the smell did get to me there for a second.
He had to have a mask.
I put a mask on, and the smell was still coming up through the mask. This was actually pretty funny.
I couldn't smell anything.
And I just have a really sensitive nose. It didn't smell bad, but after smelling something for a while, it just kind of gets irritating. And so I took her Burt's Bees lip balm and I put it on the inside of the mask, right where the nose is.
It smells like coconut and pear. It's very pleasant.
So I had that right up under here while everything was going on. And but anyways, I went and just sat there, and they were like, how are you doing, Dad? And I was like, holy crap, Dad. You know what I mean? I was like, I am great, but I could really use a hard drink. They're like, we have a Coke if you want that. And I was, oh, excuse me. I was like, yeah, I'll take that.
Oh, which reminds me, because after everything was all said and done, I was like, I hadn't had anything to eat since 5 p.m. December 26th. So it had been, 12 plus 5, 17? 17 hours since I had something to eat. They were like, do you want anything to eat or drink? And I was like, what am I allowed to have? Because I was so used to, only having certain things or not eat. They were like, whatever you want. They brought me lunch, a lunch tray, and TJ was like, do you want a Sprite? I was like, oh, a Sprite, a nice cold Sprite in a cup of ice. I gulped that thing down so hard and so fast. I was like, oh my goodness.
We had absolutely no wants at all in that hospital.
No.
If we wanted something to drink, they brought it.
Or we could just go over and grab it out of the...
Yeah. And the cafeteria there is actually pretty good. It's not like the same hospital food that you see on TV or you hear about people complaining. The hospital's right across the pond from where we work, so a lot of our employees actually walk over there for lunch, and plus they have a Chick-fil-A in there. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So after all of that, the nurses and doctors left, and we kind of had our own time. We wanted to take a couple hours before we had any visitors, just because...
1 hour.
I mean, we have a newborn. It's our baby. We wanted to spend time with her. And then my parents and family and a couple friends came.
Well, no, that was kind of funny, though, because I was the one that had to go out, of course, obviously, to let everyone know that it was, come on in.
Yeah.
And everyone was down in the waiting room down the hall. Luckily, it wasn't, all the way down the hall from the long walk. And I just kind of poked my head out, really slowly, so it was kind of like this, coming back into the camera. I was like, you guys can come down now. They were all like... Really? I was like, no, I'm just joking. So I kind of went, I was like, yes, come on. And then they all came down. And that's when I actually started to take a nap in the chair because I was just done.
Yeah.
I was absolutely exhausted.
And all the while, I really wasn't sleeping because they had the blood pressure cuff on my arm that went off every 15 minutes to keep checking me. They had this monitor on my stomach for the contractions and the baby's heartbeat. And if I slept, it was maybe 15 minutes at a time or something like that. There was no time for me to sleep. So I was up for...
She was getting the Ben Franklin naps. He only slept 15 minutes every hour, which equals 8 hours, which is kind of interesting.
So, anyway, yeah, that's our entire birth story. It's really crazy, everything that happened. So, yeah, her official birthday is December 27th.
At 11:25.
2014 at 11:25 a.m. And
9 pounds, 11 ounces, 21 3/4.
Yeah, it's a big old baby, but we love her. And we're so happy that you guys, watched our vlogs and kind of went through this entire process with us. Transitioning from Nutrisystem vlogs to moving into our new house. And then finding out that we were having a baby.
There was really no transition between moving in the house and baby, videos.
Yeah.
Because it was pretty much just...
Yeah. But,
good job.
I do have my 6-week checkup next week. So I'm hoping to film a 6-week postpartum video on next Saturday, to let you know how everything is and how I've been feeling and, the past 6 weeks and all of that stuff. So hopefully I will have time to do that. But, that's it. Yeah.
Did we leave anything else?
I don't think we left anything out. There's a lot.
Oh, yeah. The only part was when I left to go get the stuff out of the car, but that was only after your parents were there.
Yeah.
I did go home to sleep that night.
My mom spent the other 2 nights in the hospital with me, which I am so grateful for. And she is staying with us also for a couple of months to help out with the baby. So I'm very fortunate and lucky to have my mom here helping us because some of the late nights are really difficult. But we'll get into that in another video. But for now,
I think we should start doing
weekly updates.
Or
Monthly.
Two a week maybe. We can have the baby in here too.
Yeah.
I mean, we are in her room.
Hopefully, we are in her room. All this owl stuff. So,
she kicks
anyway,
us out by
how long is this? Oh my gosh, I think we've been filming for quite a bit.
Yeah, I think it's like 30 minutes.
Sorry, guys, but hey, if you made it this long, thumbs up to you.
It's a
thank
pretty
you.
intriguing story. Maybe I should have said that at the beginning to keep you, throughout it, but
I'll put it in the little graphic or something. But I guess I will end this video with just a couple of some of her newborn pictures and pictures from the hospital when she was 1 day old. We have a couple really cute pictures, so I'll leave that for you guys. And until next time, I guess we'll see you later. We're not going to be having another baby for at least a couple of years, so not never again. And honestly, I would just end this by saying that my favorite part of this entire process was the moments that she came out. The entire labor and delivery. As much pain as I was in, even with the epidural, fiasco and whatever, and the pushing and everything, that was my favorite part because I got to feel her actually coming out of my body. Oh, and the worst part is when they try and contract your stomach and your uterus back down to size. They push on your stomach so hard. Nobody tells you this. It's the most uncomfortable thing ever. And then they come back like every 4 hours and keep pushing and checking. I forgot that part.
Yep.
But that was terrible. It's terrible. But the only drugs...
I could have used a pillow.
The only drugs that I took for pain was ibuprofen. They offered me Percocet, but I was like, nah, no, we'll stick to ibuprofen, and if that works, then that's fine. And it did. It worked.
Cat can't drink one beer without feeling crazy. Imagine what it would be.
It's like, I don't really want to be on Percocet, so just give me the ibuprofen.
She'd be drooling, passed out.
Anyway, we are
way over on this.
We're don't you know we always just talk past when we say we're gonna go. So anyway, this is the end. Leave you with a couple cute pictures, and we will see you at the in our next video.
Yep.
6-week postpartum. So thank you and bye.
Why is it that every time I hear postpartum, I think of like depression? I know it's postpartum depression, but
I don't know.
I just associate it with it. But she's not depressed at all.
No.
She's actually quite happy.
I am.
Almost in an annoying way, but yeah, she's happy.
Are we done here?
Yeah, we're done.
All right.
See you guys.
Bye.